Streamed live on Twitch at LordBrandon10.
Welcome back, guys. We are here with another Lord's Cast podcast, episode 5, and today we're going to be talking about everything season 4. So as you guys know, I once again went out into the community and I wanted to hear what everyone had to say about Destiny Rising season 4. So far I'm seeing a lot of good things. I'm seeing a few small bad things, but overall I'm seeing a lot of good things. So I want to start this podcast off today by just talking about how I feel, my thoughts and everything on season 4, what I've enjoyed, and then we're going to go in and really get into everyone else and what they and how they're feeling. So let's get into this. So starting off, I love the story. Story was beautiful. I said this since the very beginning when Estella came out into the game. NetEase cooks when it comes to the Ahamkara content in Destiny Rising. Just like how everyone said Bungie cooks when it comes to the Hive content in Destiny 2, they cook, NetEase cooks especially hard on the Ahamkara content, and that's just like hands down fact, full stop, period. They cook, period. Like they just cook a lot. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed going to the Leviathan. For those of you who don't know, Leviathan actually made a return into Destiny Rising, and it was really cool just to walk onto the main area, the main entrance of the ship, and be able to explore the newly revamped underbelly. Walking through the main deck section of the Leviathan was just amazing. Was breathtaking. It was truly amazing. Story honestly was like a 9 out of 10. I think my only criticism I can give the story, and this is just being as harsh as I can be, was in the very beginning. I believe it was Fadnala did not have any voice actors or whatever, any voice lines recorded. Other than that, story was 9 out of 10. And some might say even 10 out of 10. It was just that good. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I haven't had that much fun since the final shape in Destiny 2. Like it was, or even the launch of this game for the story. So it was truly amazing. All right, so next I want to get into on some of my thoughts is some of the subsystems that they added into Destiny Rising. So for those of you who are not aware, they changed a lot of the core systems in Destiny Rising. So first we'll start off with the MNR. So for those of you who don't know what the MNR is it's essentially the artifact system from Destiny 2, kind of re-inputted here into Destiny Rising, but kind of re-inputted in a good way, where it's kind of like a skill tree. There's like 3 different skill trees you can spec into. I believe one is like ability, the other one's like weapons, other one is like health, shields, and defense. And it's really cool. You have to level it up. So there's a certain amount that you can level on said skill trees every week for every phase that we have. And every phase that we unlock, we get a new side of the tree that we can unlock that's giving you extra power, extra different substats into your active unit. And it's even giving you an extra chunk of power, which is going to be needed for the later stages of Cordon and for the newly revised expand stages that they added in. Because some of those activities go up to like 100k, and so you're going to need the power from the MNR to be able to go into those activities to complete them. So I actually kind of like it. I've always loved the new artifact system. Whenever we got it in Destiny 2, I thought it wasn't like the thing that really motivated me every season, but I love going through, looking at the new mods, seasonal mods and things that we had. And even though we're not getting quote unquote mods, we are getting some benefits with the gems. So for example, one of the gems that we have states that each stack of light echoes also provide a 4% movement speed bonus, stuff like that, right? And so it's the little things plus the power that just really make it feel refreshing, and it's a nice addition to Destiny Rising. I love this system. It does get reset every season, and they have confirmed that. But the good news is it's easy to build. It's not like it's hard or anything like that to level your MNR. Next thing that I want to go into is the new weapons / artifacts that they did here with the star system. So if you guys are not aware, Destiny Rising added a star system for literally all of your items. And the star system essentially just does the same thing as raising its gear level. It increases your DPS and your damage. A lot of people don't know this, but if you're just coming back to the game, a lot of your items are already 5 stars. But once you raise its gear level to level 90, those 5 stars get reverted at the same damage, and you can re-level them to 5 to get even higher DPS and higher damage on those weapons and artifacts. And it's a good system. They did introduce some new materials that is needed for that. I don't know. I haven't had too much time at the time of the recording of this podcast. I haven't had a chance to level one item straight from level 1 to level 5. So I don't know what the cost economy is like to level every single item to a 5-star item. So my thoughts on that will have to be shared at a later date. But for now, from what I'm seeing, it's looking pretty good. I mean, you get some good power out of it. You get more DPS, and from what I see, it's pretty good. But on the other hand, the artifacts, I've got to say, guys, I'm happy, but I'm like extremely disappointed in the new artifact system. I don't even know how to slice this cake. So let's start with the basics. A lot of you who know me and watch a lot of my build videos, you guys understood in my builds, I always ran exotic artifacts in slot 1 and slot 2, and then mythic artifacts in slot 3 and slot 4. The reason being is because mythic artifacts back then, before we didn't have pinnacle energy, which is, I'm glad we don't have any more pinnacle energy. We'll get into that in a second. But back then, when we had pinnacle energy, the mythic artifacts you could actually level without having to spend any pinnacle energy whatsoever. However, the exotics, you had to spend pinnacle energy. Well, there was kind of a caveat where in order to do some of the high-end content, you needed to have some of the exotic artifacts. And so the best way that I found, and most of the community found to do that, was to run exotic artifacts on slot 1 and 2 for the good power jump, and then exotic artifacts for mythic artifacts for slots 3 and 4, and just make sure you get the perfect 3 out of 3 roll, so that way you're doing as much damage as you possibly can. And then if you did it like that, if you leveled your artifacts just like that, if you got your exotics to 2800, and then I believe your mythics to like what, 2300 or 23,000 or 2300 and some change, you would have maxed out your artifact tiers, which would have given you an additional lump sum and power as well. But of course, in season 4, it changed. And it changed in a lot of different good ways. So now, since we don't have pinnacle energy in the game, you are able to farm the essences as much as you want. But one of the changes they also made was that the mythic artifacts, if you choose to refractor them, which I'm going to explain why you don't want to do that in a second, if you want to level a mythic artifact, those also require essences as well, instead of the heaps that they once did. So now the philosophy of where we want to use mythic artifacts in slots 3 and 4, it's not really needed, or is it good to do that anymore. You do right now, and at this point in time, do want to go for 4 straight exotics on your artifacts, which is good because now you can actually roll in your 4th attribute slot and actually be able to do a lot more damage than you would have been able to do with just running 2 mythic artifacts. So I do like this new system. I really do. I do like that we are able to farm those essences. We are able to max out these exotics. I do like it. I thought that was a great idea. Going into some of the attributes, one of the other things that I really love about this new system that they introduced with artifacts is that let's say you got an exotic and you have a 3 out of 4 roll, but you've been farming for artifacts. Obviously, you have more of the same artifacts in your inventory. You're able to do an attribute transfer system, which kind of acts like the dice for a chance to change one of your artifacts attributes abilities for whatever you want. And I kind of like that. I really do. It cuts down on the grind. It makes it a lot faster, obviously, and you're stronger as a result of it. And I think that was a really good introduction. Having like a portable dice system as you're grinding, it's pretty cool. I like it. I don't know how I feel yet about the new attribute scores though. So for example, the 45 base that they set it to, before it used to be 30, now it's 45. I don't know how I feel about the actual left hand side of the stats though. Like I said, at the time of the recording of this video, we only are able to go up to like 3 stars. At the time of this, like I said, at the time of the recording of this video, we're only able to go up to like 3 stars, and you're able to earn 4 stars at a very low chance and chaos. And so like most of the time I'm only seeing like high 40s. I haven't got any 45s, straight 445s. Before I loved how we were able to refactor the artifact, and whenever we refactored, it would go for the number on the left and the right. And you were done. That was it. You didn't have to do anything else. You didn't have to grind additional variants of that artifact to get a perfect 45 and 45 roll. You didn't have to do none of that. It was, you go in there, you get your materials, you level the artifact, you get out. So like I said, I'm a little bit iffy in this department. I have to keep playing and keep grinding to see how I really feel once all the phases have been released, where I can really grind to see if it's possible to get those 45s a lot faster. I'm assuming they will be, because the 4 stars have been dropping quite often with higher perk points already allocated on them. And now I would be remiss if I didn't bring up the worst of them all. All of the work that you put in prior to season 4 for your artifacts are not able to be leveled. So that means all of your level 80 artifacts, because it was level 80 before season 4 came out, you can't upgrade them. You can't. Like, there's just no way to upgrade them to level 90. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I hate that. Like, that is such a big turnoff for me, because I love my Maru, I love my Ningfei, I love my Hellhest, I love all of my units that I've built. But I hate the fact that I cannot upgrade them to level 90. I hate it. And I really hope moving forward, because I can live with this one time. I know it's a big devastation to a lot of us who don't have time to grind and put in the work to regrind these artifacts. I'm willing to regrind them. It's going to take me some time. But what I'm not willing to do, and what I'm not willing to accept, is if season 5 comes around, and for whatever reason, if the team level decides to go up to 100, and the artifacts go up to 100, and the weapons go up to 100, and we're not able to upgrade the level 90s to 100, because that's the precedent, that's how it's supposed to be. I don't know if I've got it in me to really farm chaos anymore. I think after talking with some of the people in chat, I think what I would do in a case like that is I'm just going to build like a universal set every season, or whenever that does happen, and just run the universal set across all of my units. Because I like I said, I don't like the fact that my time was not respected. For all of these units that I have put countless hours in the mines trying to find that perfect 4-4 roll or that perfect 3-3 roll, even on some of the mythics. And I don't like that. That was a really big turnoff. But everything else with the artifact system I think was great. So sorry for making this part of the podcast that long. I just really wanted to explain my thought process thoroughly on the artifact system. All right, so with that being said, I want to go ahead and talk about my thoughts on the newest raid, the Great Hunt. So the reason why it's been taken, so first and foremost, the reason it's even taken this long to even get this podcast out the door was because, one, I was waiting till the raid dropped so that way I can give my complete thoughts, and two, I wanted to gather everyone's thoughts in the community, which we're getting ready to get into here. And I've got to say, the Great Hunt, in my opinion, is up there top 5 best raids of all time. And I mean that. Like, I seriously mean that. The Great Hunt is up there as probably one of the best raids that has ever walked the face of Destiny. It's only 3 encounters, but it is so detailed, so difficult, because I'm still playing contest mode. I haven't even went into normal mode yet. And the second encounter reminds me so much of Caretaker. Having to go in, stun the boss, then you've got the rest of the team doing their thing, trying to push the encounter forward to start damage. Then you've got the final boss. Final boss is you're on your sparrows. I don't think we've had a raid since. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we've had a raid where we had to use our sparrows since Scourge of the Past. And it was it's just the Ahamkara. I mean, because spoiler alert, we don't kill Najoran in the main campaign. You fight her in the raid, which was pretty cool in and of itself. And you're tracking her down through the raid, and you're riding your sparrow around in the final boss area with Najoran, and it feels like you're in a movie. Like, she's jumping after you. She does these slow-mo effects when she's jumping out of the water trying to get towards you. She's sending all of these black holes towards you, and you're having to use your sparrow to get out and move around the arena. It's honestly really, really cool. And then there's one part of the raid where you're in the room, and she's like slashing her claws through reality, and she opens it up, and then she's just looking at you doing the mechanics. Like, it was all just so wonderful and beautiful, and the raid contest was amazing. We've been helping the community over on the Twitch channel. We've done, as of the time of the recording of this podcast, 80 helps for the community of the Destiny Rising, and just, man, it's been fun. I haven't had this much fun on a raid in a very, very long time. Truly, truly, truly beautiful, and it was 10 out of 10. Raid was 10 out of 10. You literally couldn't have made that raid any better. Besides the bugs. The bugs were terrible, but other than the bugs, it was a really beautiful raid. All right, so that was kind of my thoughts on everything. I went over the raids. I went over the story, my thoughts on the new artifact weapon system. Oh, and one thing I want to mention is some of the new weapons actually are really, really good. I want to just give my thoughts on that, then we'll get into the community's thoughts here. I love the new weapons. Warcliff Coil is meh, but it's really cool for nostalgic sake. It's really cool. Cloud Strike is out of this world. Really out of this world. I mean, I have that sucker leveled at like 1 catalyst band with no other upgrades, and I have like really good artifacts, smart Aphrodite, and I'm hitting for 7 mil. Imagine if I had that thing upgraded, and imagine the damage I'd be doing on Aphrodite. On a T0 Aphrodite, by the way. Cloud Strike is like amazing. Like, if you guys have not done second encounter or first encounter of the Great Hunt, I highly suggest you go get a team and you farm that first encounter, and you just get as many of those things as you can, because Cloud Strike is so fun to play with. It feels even better in this game than it does in Destiny 2, which is weird, but it just is. So Cloud Strike is fun to play with. Thunderlord is cool. There is a bug right now with Thunderlord where if you are on Estella and you try to do your summons, it actually resets the rate of fire, and then it has to revamp back up. But other than that, Thunderlord's pretty cool. Great having that gun back in this game. Some of the new seasonal weapons, though, I really love the design. It kind of gives me a what's that raid called? Root of Nightmare. It kind of gives me like a Root of Nightmares theme when I look at some of the new seasonal weapons. The new grenade launcher looks wild. I'm hearing some crazy things about the SMG. I've got videos going out on all of those weapons here pretty soon, now that I have every single unit in Destiny Rising uploaded to the YouTube channel. I can start focusing a lot more on the weapons department. But wow, the weapons are truly, truly insane. They really cooked with these seasonal weapons, and I love them. I can't wait to get videos out on all of them. I'm hearing even things about like the sniper. The new seasonal solar sniper is like doing some crazy damage. It's even doing more than 40k, and everyone knows I'm like 40k's biggest fan. But yes, so we have Vlad from Twitch chat here. It says the game is not making it easy to get this thing going. The artifact system, the way you can modify things, is not easy to understand. And that is correct. For those of you who don't know, is when you do come back into the game doesn't actually deliberately tell you, how to attribute transfer, or what the two attribute transfer, or what the two attributes transfer options really are, because there's actually two of the same option with the same name, and people don't know what they are. They don't explain how it works, and nor do they tell you you can't upgrade your level 80 artifacts. So the game, in terms of when it comes to the core system changes, I do agree with Vlad. The game does need to do somewhat of a better job of explaining some of those changes, because now people are having to resort to YouTube and some of my videos to understand some of those changes. Washu says, I hate the new artifact system, no lie. Well, I tell you what, Washu, I love it and I hate it. Like I said, I love the new, I love the ability that we have the option for dice, right? I love that. And I love, I guess, the star system, because the star system will essentially revamp it or make it go further beyond than what it would have done stock. At least I believe that's what it would have done. I just can't stand, I cannot stand the level 80s thing. Like, I don't know, the level 80, like, just not being able to upgrade it to level 90 is just really irritating me. All right, guys, so coming in from the community, we have Kobayashi Maru, and before we even get into his comment here, might I add, I love Kobayashi Maru's name. For those of you who don't know, off topic for a second, I'm a huge science fiction guy, and Kobayashi Maru comes from Star Trek. It is a test essentially that is designed for the cadets or for whoever is taking it, and it is designed for you to purposely fail. You are going to fail taking the test, and I'm not going to get too much more into that. I'm going to nerd out, and this is going to change the direction of this podcast entirely, but I love Kobayashi Maru's name. It is a huge Star Trek reference. And anyway, getting into what Maru said here, the good, she states, or he states, the good you can play whenever you want. Mods aren't horrible to grind anymore. New weapons are cool. Expanse rework is cool. The bad, artifacts are terrible and a bigger resource sink than before. Day 1 raid was buggy AF. Yes, I cleared. Some new weapons are bugged. T-Lord fire rate jams when using a Stella. No way to focus farm Glimmer fast. MLR is basically all of your power gains past a certain point. Another huge resource sink after artifacts. And holy effing S, the new artifact system, in all caps, sucks. Why is it so grindy and expensive? So, starting from the top down, I agree with everything she said about the reworks, or he said about the reworks. It's truly phenomenal. I will say Glimmer is a bigger problem this season because everything costs Glimmer. Doing your artifacts costs Glimmer. Decrypting and synthesizing an engram costs Glimmer. Anything you do costs Glimmer, and so Glimmer is like this huge thing this season, and it's more than it's ever been. And so like the real fastest way to get Glimmer now is doing your bounties, getting those frontline keys, and primarily really focusing on the Jinxie Metro Ice, the Iceland or whatever it's called, frontline, because you can farm flowers for every like 25 or 20 flowers. You go exchange it for like 20 or 25,000 or something like that. It's probably like the best way in terms of getting Glimmer. But other than that, yeah, I agree so much with Kobayashi Maru here on the artifact system. It's terrible in terms of the not being able to upgrade my 80s to 90s. I will stand by that till the day I die. The grind, for those of you who don't know what Kobayashi means by the grind, is now that you're going for all exotics, the cost actually went up. So I don't know, I can't remember exactly how it used to be, but what it is now is whenever you start refractoring, refractoring is going to use the essence at level 1, but it will start off at 2, then it will work its way up to 4, then it will work its way up to 6, and like it will then eventually like work its way up to like 8. So it's like for every 1 refractor, for every 1 point, it costs 8. Mind you, you have 4 different subsets to go through. So for every 1 attribute point, once you get to a certain point, you're spending 8. So you kill through your essences really, really quick. And so in order to level, let's say you're leveling a new, just for an example, right? Because this is true. let's say you're getting a new unit, right? Let's say you're leveling Rossi, you have no artifacts whatsoever. You get all exotic artifacts, you have perfect 4/4 rolls on all of them. Now you got to start refractoring and all that good stuff with the stars and all that other good stuff, your attribute points. It's going to cost you like well over, and I don't even know what level 5 is looking like because we haven't even got to level 5 stars yet at the time of this video. But for right now, where we're sitting at, it's going to cost you like 1,500 essences for four. And that's not including the star system. The star systems, the upgrade for like 1 to 3, it costs like 42 essences for 1 star level. And at like level 3, it costs like this new material that I don't even know the name of, but it's like 3 and up is going to cost you that. So it's expensive. Like, it's like Kobayashi is not like, it's really expensive. I haven't used Thunderlord yet in any endgame activity, so I can't really speak and attest to that. I've only played around with it for like a few minutes. I do have a build video that I will be working on that. Not a build video, but I will have a review video on that here in a few days covering the Thunderlord. And day 1 raid was buggy, and just to clarify, for those of you who don't know what Kobayashi means on that, second encounter, if I can throw a clip on screen, I think I have people on Twitch that they clip this. Second encounter was the definition of a rubber band, and that is the only way I know how to explain that. It was fun, don't get me wrong, it was beautiful, the raid aesthetically and everything was beautiful, but that rubber band on second encounter, when I tell you, cost us so many runs on day 1, it did record numbers, it was terrible. Oh my god, it is so buggy. And then not to mention, oh my god, let's not mention the infamous sparrow glitch that somehow happens on third encounter, and you can't pick up the orbs, and you have to die and then res to be able to pick up the orb, and then you have no more tokens, so then someone else dies by a sniper trying to run and confirm the symbol, and then he's dead. It was honestly, it was a challenge. I will definitely say that it was definitely a challenge. All right, guys. Dan from Twitch chat says public hero quest give 60k a pop. Vlad goes on to say, you get 2 chests, a 50k and a 110k for heroic. So I actually did not know this. Thank you, Twitch chat. I did not know this. So guys, go do some public events. That is quite literally, that and doing your flowers is quite literally the fastest way of farming your glimmer. So for anyone who didn't know that, there you go. I just found out in Twitch chat. Good perk of filming this podcast live. Azleton in the Twitch chat says, I was honestly a tad worried about power scaling since I played another gacha with endgame co-op that had a similar support that out DPS the others of her element, and the game had to be built around her absurd strength. So when I read that, I automatically think Hellhest, which I kind of feel like Hellhest, just kind of dialing it back real quick on that, Hellhest was kind of like, I don't want to say it was on the back burner, but Estella for this new raid was kind of amazing. It kind of felt like a fresh breath of air to have Estella come back and be featured in this raid, and Hellhest not so much as a prominent figure. I kind of like that, even like with Cordon on like the second set of Cordons. Hellhest is like a prominent figure in there, and I kind of love that. Like, even like I even ran Finala. For those of you been watching us live on Twitch, I've even built my Finala up to like 95k, and I've been running, our comp for the second one has been Hellhest, Estella, and Finala, because like it's just been working. We're nuking things, we're killing impacts and solar shields and the rapid fires, and it's been really nice to have like a fresh change of comps, where it's more of everyone. And I kind of like that. I kind of do. And so, props to Destiny Rising on that. Props to Destiny Rising, because everyone was complaining about Hellhest before Season 4 launched, and I don't really hear so much of that now, so good stuff to them. Another person from the community, Lord Donka, who spoke up in my Discord forum, said, this raid was awesome. I saw videos of Brandon and Scaro, but yeah, it was bugged. And they really need to focus on big maps and content if they want us to grind. Give us something good to grind. He goes on to also say, and also, whose idea was it to give 10 limited? And the choice Ingram, if I find this dev, I'm gonna slap him silly. Lord Daka, slap the hunters, not the devs. I'm just kidding. So I kind of agree with everything he said except the big maps. I think they did give us a lot to grind for. They gave us a lot of new weapons. Without the pinnacle energy system in the game, we can literally grind for all of the units, which I've been having a fun time doing. Lord Daka, I have quite literally, I have built units like Shuan Wei, I've built Efretit, I've built Fanala, and I am so glad I have built especially Fanala. And I can't say this enough. I really think a lot of the Destiny Rising community, and I say this with pride because I'm a Titan, I really feel like people are sleeping on Fanala, and she does a lot of damage, fellas. I mean, she does a lot of damage. I think she could possibly solo IZANGI'S if I put her up to the task. And I wouldn't have never tried to build her unless they took off those caps with Pinnacle Energy. And I've just been grinding, man, just building up new units. A lot of my time has been in the mines, quite frankly, but maps, I don't know how I feel about on the maps. It would be good if we get them, but I'm not really focused on maps right now. I'm really focused on other things. But if we get them, we get them. I'm not complaining either way. But I did really, and Daka actually just informed me on this. I didn't know about the Season 4 exotic weapon engrams or the Season 4 engrams. You only get 10. And I believe those are on a weekly basis based off what I'm looking. Yeah, it's on a weekly basis. So on a weekly basis, you only get 10 shots at getting a perfect roll on one of the new seasonal weapons. Other than that, everything else is random. I knew it was random. I've been farming the randoms, but I had no idea that the Season 4, and they actually label it Season 4 exotic weapon engram when it's not an exotic weapon engram. But I remember looking through here and I saw like the original weapons, and I was like, oh, it's just the old weapons. And then I remember clicking off. They should have actually put the newer weapons on top. And I would have been more inclined to have used these engrams the first time or last week when the season first dropped. But oh well. So yeah, I would definitely love to see that limit increased. Definitely would love to see that limit increased. Azulton from Twitch live says her loadout is surprisingly effective, which is nice for a tank. And Azulton, I just want to let you know you have my utmost respect for supporting our Titans. That means a lot to me. Us Titans will appreciate any love to show these stupid hunters how bad they are. They're really terrible. They're really, really terrible. Hunters are really dumb. Really, really dumb. I know this is a podcast, but I just have to put it out on air. Hunters are terrible. That's why K6 I'm just kidding. Next question, real quick, while we're on the topic of hunter slander. Jungle from the live Twitch chat audience here says, Cade was so bad, he died 3 times permanently. He sacrifices himself in the final shape. First when he was a human, first when he turned human to Exo, and then third when Ultrasoft killed him. Yeah, so any hunters, I just want to let you guys know something. You guys have lost the last 3 years of Guardian games. You guys are terrible. Okay, you guys are terrible. I don't know where this propaganda comes from with Hail Hess, where you guys think you're the best class in the game, and where some of y'all just think y'all are the best stuff and you're the best class in the game. But I'll have you know, my Fanala will kill your little damage drones and your little healing drones, and you all are gonna die. You all are so terrible. Hunters are bad. You let your own commander die. You let your own commander die. That's why Zavala is still alive. He may have lost his ghost, but guess what? He lost his ghost fighting the witness, and he didn't even die to the witness. He's still alive. He's still kicking, and he's still the commander, and I'm the Guardian president. So you know what? You hunters are terrible. And if I had it my way, if the council and the House of Congress of Guardians would listen and have it my way, I would expel every hunter from the face of this planet, and I will talk to the Traveler myself, and I will make sure he will no longer birth any more hunters under my administration. I'm just kidding. Next. All right, Basil from the Discord community says, Artifact System and MNR are indeed a giant time-gated sink. Old artifacts should have been able to be upgraded to 90, but then again, the resource dumping would have been more obscene. Tier 5 artifacts and or weapons should be obtainable now for doing harder content. I was grinding artifacts until I saw how expensive it is to upgrade from 3 to 5 and said, F that, I'll wait till the can drop tier 5, then start again, which in turn decreases my playtime right now. Didn't attempt the contest raid this time around as my typical team has left and didn't have the desire to attempt it, but did do the normal with matchmaking, and throughout the raid was a great addition. So real quick, I will say I think it's really interesting what he brought up here, what Basil brought up here with the artifacts. For those of you who don't know this, and I think I've said this earlier in the podcast, but there's different phases in the season. I don't know how many phases. I think there's like 10 or whatever. There's a lot of phases. It could be more than that. Each phase will progress how much stars you will get on a said artifact. And so essentially what he's saying here is there's two options, right? You can farm an artifact now and have it be like a 3 to 4 star, and that way you kind of skip out on having to upgrade it with all of the different materials to upgrade that set artifact to a 5-star artifact. But however, if you wait until the phases come out, you're kind of decreasing your playtime by doing it that way. And that's a really interesting point. I will say I have right now, like even on my Finala, speaking of Titans, I have like 2 4-star artifacts and 2 3-star artifacts, and with my Eminar and everything being maxed out, I'm like 95k power, which is enough to get me through like up to level 40 expanse, because I ran Finala through all 3 or all 4 of the different expanse. I ran her through precision, I ran her through impact, rapid fire, even spread, and I will say I've been pretty comfortable with like that comp with that many stars, so it wouldn't hurt to build like 1 guardian with that, and then once once the phases unlock or whatever the case is, going to farm for the 5 stars. But I see what he's saying. It should be more streamlined. You should be able to farm the 5 stars, or you should be able to farm any variant at once, because of this stupid time gate. You're kind of having to wait in terms of farming for those 5 stars. So I see what he's saying, and Netties, if you're listening, that would be a great change to make. That and leveling our artifacts up to 90 would be great as well, just saying. But yeah, let's move on to the next person. All right, next up from the Discord is Archangel. Archangel is my #1 commander. He says season 4 added a lot, so gonna break it down into sections. Overall, I'm happy with I think there is a overall, I'm happy with I think there is a lot of good content here between the raid and the new strikes blitz activities. I don't really care for the rollout of the seasonal phases, limiting our progression at this time though, and wish it was a little faster than 4 weeks ago to get max level stuff. I think the overall reward structure of the game is way better now, even if it's grindy. Removal of Pinnacle is the best part of the update, allowing me to play all I want when I can instead of forcing the day grind, which I personally don't care for. It also helps a ton with other systems like artifacts, feeling a lot better because of it. Now he goes on to talk about artifacts. I think these are fine. I always viewed them as the long-term grind of the game. The changes reinforce that. I do agree with most people that the stuff we had prior should have been able to be boosted to 90. The catch that it is possible to get better stuff with the new system. I actually agree with how he said that. You can upgrade it to level 90, but the catch is with the new stuff, or with the new system. I actually kind of like that. Weapons, he goes on to talk about weapons. I think the changes are awesome and one of the best system refreshes they have done. The grind for double enhanced perks to make adept weapons, I think, is a great one, and the changes to weapon mods to make them much more interesting than before. Overall, 10 out of 10. Here, and Bungie should copy their homework. New seasonal artifacts. Eminar is different, and I think more interesting, but suffers from too much time gating at the moment, and it will really suffer from that. I like to give and take of having to pick where a character is placed to maximize the buffs you want to their kit. I do think there should be a way to increase the size of the area of non-seasonal characters, as it feels useless for them. Activities. I really like all of the new activities they put into the game. Strike, Scotland Blitz, and the Raid are all really good, with the Raid in particular being a standout in my opinion. I think the format of Operation Cordon is much better than the previous Calamity, but do hope that towards the final levels of it, we get more in-depth leaderboard to support trying to for better times and or scores. Having two paths so all Shinka and damage types are represented at the same time is the best change. I agree with them there. Expanse is the same way. Having 4 paths at once, one for each Shinka type, is a great change, allowing you to use any character you want and not to be locked out of your favorite for 2 weeks at a time. I agree with them wholeheartedly, especially there on that last little bit. And I didn't even mention this earlier, but the fact that Operation Cordon really replaced Calamity, and you're able to play it at your pace with as many attempts as you want with your fire team, and especially with your units, whether you want to go spread or precision or rapid fire impact, you have the option of doing that now, and you're not having to wait 2 weeks for a chance for that specific Shinka to be in rotation. So I agree with them wholeheartedly there. Great work, Angel. I actually appreciate a lot of this feedback here. A lot of it's great. And I do agree with you on the weapons. I think I was a little optimistic when they first announced that they were going to be changing the perk upgrades and removing them off of the exotic mods and putting them on the weapons itself. I actually kind of like it. It's really nice. Having a perfect roll, making your perfect roll from the weapon forge with your weapon perks is really cool. And having the exotic mods actually match whatever you're wanting to do on your weapons is it's really cool. I enjoy it. So good work there, Angel. I appreciate the feedback. All right, we've got another Discord review here from Christian. He says, good morning everyone, I trust you all had an amazing weekend. I did. My thoughts on season 4. Positives: the season is completely revamped. The redesign of the entire system feels like a whole new game. This portal menu is what I was expecting when the game first launched. The graphics are improved and the frame rate is substantially better. With the acclaim system visually gone, you are rewarded for playing the game now. Anybody who is new to the game will be pleased. Negatives: all returning players will be shocked. Everything will feel unfamiliar. Mods will seem like they're missing, but in reality are detached from your Guardian if this same mod is used more than once. Weapon mods are removed from Mythic and below weapons, which is extremely annoying. The new star system is grindy, and the leveling in our and/or MNR system is really confusing. Lastly, this is a much needed change. However, this might be a little too late for some gamers, and I have to agree. I agree with everything you said there, and especially on the last bit, that this might be a little too late for some gamers. We have been speaking about some of the previous issues, that haunted this game since month 1 into the game, right, when everyone was already up in levels, and we had did so many podcasts. I mean, I remember in our very first Lord's Cats podcast, we had on all of the different people who were streaming this game at the time, and we even said the same thing then, that they just implemented into the game. What if you just put clusters into like Legacy or into Shifting Gates, populate those playlists and give people the opportunity to grind even without Pinnacle? And it took until now for them to do that, and now we've lost some players, but I think we've gained some players, and I have to say this, I think we still have a healthy player base. I'll throw up a screenshot on screen here. This was a screenshot that released, not a screenshot, this was a menu that released when the Great Hunt leaderboard rush phase concluded. And you guys can see we still have 19,000 people who interacted with this on the NA and Latin America server. So 20,000 people just on ours who interacted with this image here, or with this menu option here. And that's not counting the people who would have interacted with it on EMEA. I don't know how many people on their server interacted with whoever was their number 1 on that server. So my hypothesis is that we're averaging hopefully around 20,000 to at least 30,000 players on Destiny Rising, which I think is good. I just wish we would have made these changes a little, at least a season ago, or I would have rushed season 4 a lot faster. All right, another Discord response from Nadia. I'm just gonna call you Nadia because I can't pronounce your name. My apologies. She says, overall, a very good update. My biggest complaint currently is that the condensants are only able to unlock missed characters and for Ascension, but not talents. To be clear, unlocking characters is an amazing addition. I want to take it a step further and say we should be able to use them for talent nodes as well. Most characters at least need the first talent for huge quality of life improvements for the character. If they can't do that, then consistently run past characters again. Ooh, that was, if they can't do that, then constantly run past characters again. Yeah, that is that's actually a great idea. I actually like that idea. With the ascensions there with the crystals, that's actually that's really good. She goes on to say, my concern for the future is how much of this progression resets at the end of the season. Do we lose all the materials we invested into the MNR? Do we have to farm weapons and artifacts again? Do we only have star up? Do we have to star up and ascend again? So here's what I will say, and here's what I will answer to that. From what I know the MNR is supposed to be reset at the end of the season, not Act 4 or not Act 2 of Season 4, but like Season 5 is supposed to retire. Now, when I go into my inventory, there are like 2 different condensants. There's one that says it will retire, and then that it will retire at the end of the season, and then there's one that just stays there indefinitely, because that just doesn't say it will not retire at the end of the season. And it's literally the same exact name. One says universal elemental condensant time limited, and the other one says the same thing without time limited. So I don't think that will go away except for the time limited ones. And for in terms of your last point, there is I don't know if we have to ascend again, and that's kind of what I was talking about earlier. Is if it comes down to it, where we have to like, if they for some reason increase the team level to, let's say, level like 100, and we have to do all this all over again, I'm not gonna spend that much time on it, man. I'm just not going to. I'm just gonna build me a universal set, and that's it. I'm not gonna fall down that rabbit hole where we've got to do all that over again, because theoretically it's just not enough time, man. I mean, you would have to live in the mines to be able to maintain all 19 plus units in the game, and that's a lot of time and a lot of materials and a lot of glimmer, and I'm not gonna do that. So NetEase, if there's one thing you take away from this, like, just give us the ability to level up our artifacts, man, our level 90s or level 80s. But condensants, I do agree with Nadia here, is we should be able to definitely use those condensants, at least for the talent tree, because they actually take forever to get if you're like free to play route. So that wouldn't be a bad idea to like get more copies and to eventually T6 a unit. But then again, I understand it from NetEase's point of view, where the talent trees are how they make their money, or is one form of how they make their money. So I don't know how you balance that, but we'll see what the future holds for that department. Azulton responds to Nadia's comment and says, and Azulton from Twitch says, if we were to do that, we'd have to magnify the cost a lot, since gacha is their primary God, I can't read today, is the primary moneymaker, unless I'm mistaken. Having the Jorn come back to life and edit our patch notes again. I know we beat up her a little bit, but she can probably do a little extra tweaking. You know what, the Jorn, if you want to come back, do me a little favor, let me use those condensants for some talent trees. I promise I'll spare your life next time, okay? I promise. And I will make a wish for you, so that way you can possess my body. All right, another Discord user comes in, Mr. Watergun. Watergun says, pretty good so far. I like that Pinnacle Energy is removed and I can keep grinding now. I like how there's finally a system to get characters you might have missed out on. But I think there should be a slightly better way to focus certain condensants. Universal condensants shouldn't expire when the season ends with how rare they are to come by. I think extension systems for condensants with characters you already have is quite underwhelming, and talents should be obtainable for new content. Should be attainable for new content. I think everything they added is pretty good overall. The new exotics, at least the ones I have used, are pretty fun. Aphrodite is pretty fun. And the new raid is pretty good. Operation Cordon is something I'm not the biggest fan of, though, at least compared to Calamity Ops. Star tiers and everything else related to season phase level, or whatever it is called, is interesting, but the time gate is really annoying. I agree with them on everything there. All right, we got another Discord user, aka my Lord's best, Mr. Rave. He says, my thoughts as of phase 3 starting today. So he says, performance, I could be going crazy, but the game looks better and also feels better frame rate wise, significantly less frame drops. He goes on to talk about new farming system and pinnacles. He says, this challenge literally brought me back from the game. This change literally brought me back from the game after quitting post Crota. I cannot express enough how freeing it feels to actually farm whatever I want, optimized or not, with no FOMO. Most resources are available to be farmed for free now, which is, oh my god, my monitor is so small. He goes on to say most resources are available to be farmed for free now, which is now, besides one thing which I dislike quite a bit in Expanse. I will get to that. In in-game. Farming guns feel so fresh again with double perk upgrades. I'm actually excited to farm old weapons like Jaren's Solar Mythic Shoddy as an example. Being able to actually afford to upgrade my exotic weapons with cores that I can farm infinitely makes me want to upgrade so many weapons now. One major resource that is still farmable, but it has slowed down significantly, is Glimmer. They need to increase Glimmer gains globally or add back the Glimmer they had in Morgan's Hunt. AKA, if you guys don't know, Morgan's Hunt, they removed the Glimmer out of that. Because of this new system, everything costs Glimmer, which costs way too much when you add everything up. This has been a problem since the season came out, and I know lots of people that are complaining about this. Farming new artifacts is nicer when we can just grab a 3-4 god rolls and have an easier time with higher drop rates for exotics, but once again, upgrading artifacts drains the heck out of your Glimmer. He goes on to talk about seasonal buffs in the MNR. He says 10 times better than our old season buffs. Our old season buff system, if you guys remember the old system, we had to spend our pinnacle energy to get XP for the upgrade, for the upgrades like arc damage, increase health, increase, etc. The issue with that was it was completely pay to win. When people just bought pinnacle energy, they would be people with max upgrades steamrolling through Calamity on the first week because of this. This new seasonal upgrade with MNR actually requires you to use your brain and has such a cool build potential with the gem slots. Yes, there are seasonal characters that give us a slight edge in there, but there is a way around this now without swiping your credit card. And that is actually, that is actually such a great point, Rave. I didn't look at it like that. Like, I didn't look at it like that from like the perspective of pay to win with the old artifact system compared to the new MNR that we have. What a great one-to-one comparison there, Rave. Seriously, like, honestly, what a great one-to-one comparison. That's really great. He goes on to say new ways to obtain older units. Are you ticked off that you missed a character banner while you were away? Well, there is now a system. He says, well, there is a new system where you can actually earn enough shards, elemental competence, to obtain the character now or go beyond and get an ascension to boost the character's damage survivability. Of course, whales are going to buy a bunch of these for silver, but for everyone else, the game provides you multiple ways to get shards per week for free without spending. Shifting gates, casual activities, black market, and the seasonal store. And he is right, you can actually earn those for free and boost your damage and everything else, which is great on NetEase. But he goes on to talk about some of the gripes that he has. He says seasonal guns cost way too much. It costs way too much eggs to get enough copies of the Battle Pass weapons, and 10 times worse if you don't have the Battle Pass. It's honestly predatory for free-to-play players when they see an exciting, strong weapon in the Battle Pass. Free-to-play players will have to spend months buying the eggs. I also dislike the cost of artifacts upgrading to tier 5, to tier 4 and tier 5. It's going to discourage a lot of people from building multiple units for fun when the currency it uses to upgrade cost currency from when the currency it uses to upgrade the cost is the currency from the expanse. The raid, he goes on to talk about the raid. I love it, but these bugs and probably many others are the worst bugs I have ever experienced in a raid contest. I love how challenging it feels power-wise, and honestly, I think NetEase shouldn't have made it easier during contest. It's a raid race for a reason. It's meant to be hard. If you want something easier, this is why they have an easier version of the raid and contest modifiers without being under light. I hope they focus on playtesting more so we don't have as many bugs to ruin people's day ones. My mental was getting shattered when we kept wiping during second phase. The desync overall, he goes on to say, overall though, this was the best raid they've done so far, and I hope they continue this. And he goes on to say, in all caps, please more raid exclusive exotics like Necrochasm. And he says I yap too much, but he says overall, I love this update, a step in the right direction, just scared of not having enough players eventually. So there's a couple things I want to poke at here, a little bit towards what he said there towards the end. NetEase, you definitely got to get people to playtest these raids, because Rave was actually on my team, and I cannot count the amount of times we died. It wasn't even just to desync, but it was just like the boss going to wherever he would want to go. The boss would, have a path to come to me because I had the buff, but he would go to where the other 5 people on my team were and just wipe all of them off the face of this planet. And if you guys don't know, in the second phase DPS, once you die, you can't respawn until after DPS because your ghost actually spawns up top. And so it was definitely like painful. And I really wish NetEase would have play tested that, right? Like even like if you just hire an unprofessional who doesn't know what they're looking for, that would have been one of the ones that would have been spotted. Like there were some very obvious like bugs that would have been spotted if they had just had one playtester go through and just test everything. But I don't know why they didn't go down that road. But the raid was beautiful, and I have to say I enjoyed it besides the bugs. Yeah, I really agree with Rave on the seasonal buffs and MNR. What a great comparison. What a really great comparison between the last system that we had and this one. I've never looked at it that way, so I appreciate that, Rave. Thank you. Next up is Riser. He pretty much said the same thing. As a player who only plays the raid is he said, as a player who only plays the raid, basically it is awesome. The only issues I have are the bugs. Some of the most fun I've had, 10 out of 10. Keep the difficulty, but please fix the bugs. The only thing I wanted was another encounter, because for those of you who don't know, it's only 3 encounters instead of the regular 4. All right, and next up from our last response to season 4 from the Discord community to wrap up this podcast is going to be from Barry. Barry, she is an amazing player from the time I've known her. She's done some of the day ones. She's done just about all of the contests as far as I'm aware, and she's a great player, and really appreciate her for being in my community And so let's get into it. She's got us a really, really big one here, so let's dive into it. She says, this is my take as someone who is mostly just a solo player that only pokes her head in on the game every now and again. Pros, feels good to be able to farm for characters that I missed, even if they take long. Even if they take a long time to farm. Progression feels like it doesn't just stall at like 70k plus power anymore, since there are still things you are chasing. Killing off the Grandmaster Master key stuff was good. The amount of options on what to do feels good, which also compounds with the removal of pinnacle energy to make it so I can just naturally farm whatever I want. Ray was really good, and to me, just didn't feel like it was retreading Last Wish or Leviathan. It was definitely its own thing, even in spite of the bugs it has. The willingness they had to break traditional Destiny norms with encounter structure was very good. Like having driving sparrows being a major part of the final boss fight. And I said that earlier, guys. I think Scourge of the Past was the only other raid in Destiny history to feature like getting on your sparrows as like an actual mechanic. And I felt like that was a really good play on their part for pushing the bounds even further than what Destiny 2 has done in terms of like the mechanics. Barry goes on to say, the weapon pool is starting to feel like there are actually choices in what you want to run now. Weapons are starting to feel good even when you are running them on and off element character instead of just being kind of gimmicky like Gallows on Estella, which I agree. I like having options now. So like if I want to run rapid fire, but I don't have a void unit that is rapid fire, I can just throw on my wolf pack as an example, or whatever the case is, and be able to run that set activity and be okay and not have it be so restricting. So yeah, definitely a great play on their part for more weapon choices. Barry goes on to also say, I don't know whether to make this pro or con, so I'll do it for both. Engram crafting opening up to basically every single gun in the game makes it feel nice to run whatever you want and still be able to get stuff like Black Armory and Crota weapons. Going on, the power reworks feel good and makes for more nuisance and difficulty. It feels like going from D1 year 1 levels where one level under would reduce your damage by like 33% to having a more gradual curve in Taken King. Barry goes on to talk about the cons. The Eminar. Eminar is information overload. It doesn't fully establish itself on login. It has a small button on the Ghost UI and makes it insignificant. And once you open it, you are having to read essays on essays of text to figure out what the heck is even going on. A quick change that I would make to help the system is to make it so there is a keyword about what each branch of the tree does, since there are mostly grouped together by one mechanic, as all the signature ability nodes are together, the weapon damage nodes are together, etc. I have spent extremely limited time with Operation Cordon so far, but I generally feel like my experience as a solo would be better if I could opt into automatically having bots fill for me. Ooh, that's a great idea. Great idea, Barry. I have had people that are less than useless that spend 90% of that strike dead while I'm trying to stagger a precision Shinka with a Core's drill launcher, because I was the only person that could make it through the lava section of the Leviathan strike, while the other two players insta-locked Ephrodite while having absolutely no clue how to play her. There should be some alternative to get blueprint weapons for free-to-play players. Weapons like Arbalest and Drill Launcher are game changers that a lot of people that start now will likely never use at this point, because there are no ways to earn battle pass weapon currency outside of spending money or throwing absurd amounts of black market tokens at them. The Iron Commander nerf that reduced the number of runs you can use it for per week felt extremely unnecessary. Strange bugs are kinda littered everywhere, like the effort each story quest, soft locking after Saladin uses the launcher cannon in the story mission is beyond frustrating. I didn't know that because I haven't ran her story missions yet. The only reasons I didn't run her story missions yet, side note, is because I want to experience. Everdeen is like a champion in my eyes, and seeing her for the first time in Destiny 1 with Iron Lord Saladin, I want to wait to do her story until the voice lines are in the game. She's like a role model, and I want to play her with the full story experience. So I'm waiting until they add that in. But anywho, going back to what Barry said. On the engram crafting note, it does cause somewhat of a problem where why would I run X activity when I could just farm something easier to get the mythic dust to craft the weapons I want? Not being able to see ahead to higher tiers expanse feels weird to me. They start asking for really high power levels, but then don't tell you what element and initial gift of the 9 they are until you get to them. So you can't really prepare for them without looking outside of the game for information. So that was Barry's response here. Barry, thank you so much. That was a lot, and we appreciate your feedback for that. And that was amazing. I actually agree with you just on about most of this here. So thank you, Barry. All right, guys. Well, that was everyone, or that was not everyone. So I apologize if I couldn't get to everyone's review in our Season 4 channel review in the Discord. I tried to get to the ones that were kind of different and tried to include as many people as I could. But nonetheless, guys, just some last minute thoughts. Is Season 4 back, or is Destiny Rising back? Absolutely. Absolutely. More than at any point, it's back, and it's doing really good. And I think we've got the players. I think we've got the format. I think it's just fixing some of the small stuff, and I think you've got a really good game, man. I've had a lot of people in my chat this week come in and say how much they're enjoying the season, how much they're enjoying Season 4, the story. They're happy about not having no pinnacle. There was a guy that hadn't played this game that I known since day one on launch. He's like, I'm not liking the pinnacle energy system. He came back Season 4 and says, you know what? I'm enjoying the game now because there is no pinnacle energy. I can actually grind the way I want to grind. So I think they have the format. They're on the right track. I'm enjoying Season 4. I cannot wait for Act 2. And I most definitely cannot wait for Season 5 when those drop. And once again, my apologies for taking so long on this podcast. I wanted to play the raid first before I came in and did any initial thoughts. So that is Season 4, guys. You guys should go check it out. There is a new story. There's 2 new stories. You have the Everdeen story and you have the main story. You have the new raid. You have the Leviathan that you can explore. Content refreshes, subsystem refreshes, quite literally game-changing refreshes just about everywhere. So give it a shot, guys. I mean, even if you don't want to do the raid, just log in, do the campaign, see how you're feeling, and if you like it, stay. If not, we'll miss you. But that has been a successful episode 5 of the Lord's Cast podcast. I appreciate everyone who contributed, and like I said, I apologize for not being able to get to everyone. I do have to try to keep these somewhat short. I don't want it to go on too long. But yeah, we'll see you guys in the next Destiny Rising video. Next Destiny Rising video, we're gonna be showcasing the Thunder Lord. So you guys stay tuned for that. And everyone else, I'll see you back on Twitch. Peace out, Girl Scouts. See you in the next one.